Welcome to FatLogic, where we learn that Demi Lovato really doesn't like people having nutritional choices. If you don't want to hear the Demi Lovato story, the time to skip to should be appearing on the screen now. Unless I forgot. From Death Wish, apparently offering sugar-free options is promoting eating disorders in diet culture. Demi Lovato posted on Instagram, finding it extremely hard to order Froyo from The Big Chill Official when you have to walk past tons of sugar-free cookies / other diet foods before you get to the counter. Do better, please. Hashtag diet culture vultures. About Non Sequiturs replied to that part. Does Demi not realize Froyo is the diet food version of ice cream? But Demi Lovato wasn't done. She added more on her Instagram page. So I think I'm going to have to make that hashtag a thing. I will be calling harmful messaging from brands or companies that perpetuate a society that not only enables but praises disordered eating. Hashtag diet culture vultures. The store replies, we are not diet culture vultures. We cater to all of our customer needs for the past 36 years. We are sorry you found this offensive. Demi replies, not just that. Your service was terrible. So rude. The whole experience was triggering and awful. You can carry things for other people while also caring for another percentage of your customers who struggle daily just to even step foot in your store. You can find a way to provide an inviting environment for all people with different needs, including eating disorders, one of the deadliest mental illnesses, only second to overdoses. Don't make excuses, just do better. Since y'all want to keep this going, at The Big Chill Official. Then she digs deep and finds a post from 4 years ago, at the yogurt shop, showing some cookies. It says, 22 grams of protein, eat me, guilt-free. The Big Chill Official writes, new eat me guilt-free cookies and cakes, so yummy. Demi replies, this screams diet culture and I won't be gaslit by the media or anyone else that says otherwise. I don't need to feel guilt-free about anything. This was what I was talking about, and this is directly from their own page at The Big Chill Official. Note that the words guilt-free are there because that's the brand name of the cookies. And Demi added even more. I was thinking, maybe it would help if you made it more clear that the sugar-free options and vegan options are for that. Labeling the cookies for celiac and diabetes or vegans. When it's not super clear, the messaging gets confusing, and being in LA, it's hard to distinguish diet culture versus health needs. I think clearer messaging would be more beneficial for everyone. You aren't wrong for catering to many different needs, but it's about not excluding one demographic to cater to others. Prayer. Keeping this transparent, even though I'm done. Carol replied, yes, please label every specific food with our diseases. I'd like to order a diabetic yogurt for myself and an irritable bowel ice cream for my friend. Do you have any of that celiac disease cones? That's not embarrassing at all. Mary Jo, my first boyfriend broke up with me for a girl named Amber Green. I couldn't walk past traffic lights without thinking about them. I didn't write the mayor to tell him to change the amber traffic light. Irene Axter replied, dude, I've struggled with alcohol issues. I sometimes get triggered when I'm in the supermarket and walk past the beer aisle. I don't ask the store to move the beer aisle because it's damaging to me. I put on my big girl pants and move along. Malfi also replied, I find it a disgrace that she thinks only people with a medical reason can choose sugar-free. What about people who are overweight or unhealthy and actually are on a diet because they want to look or feel better, or just improve their health and life expectancy? She's basically saying that nobody can admit to being on a diet or making a conscious effort to being healthier for no other reason than that they want to be. People shouldn't have to have a chocolatey medical reason to choose healthy foods. It's a disgrace. She is saying that healthy foods should be labeled for diabetics. If she had gone to the shop and discovered they only sold calorie-laden, full-fat desserts, she would have had a meltdown that they didn't sell anything for people trying to lead healthier lifestyles or people with specific dietary requirements. She is literally berating the shop for catering to all needs, tastes, lifestyles, and a wide range of customers. She is deluded and showing herself to be very burrito-ish, and woke to the point of being nonsensical. I don't like onions, but I don't get offended and try to ruin a small business every time I go into a shop that sells onions, or a restaurant whose dishes feature onions. I'm a woman, but I don't get upset when I go into a department store and discover they also sell clothing for men and children, too.
Here's her heartfelt apology.
Probably shouldn't have, gone about this the way that I have.
But
I'm not coming after a small business as someone with a lot of followers.
isn't that exactly what she did, though?
By the way, please click like and subscribe if you don't spend your free time using your influence to destroy a small frozen yogurt shop. Okay, all that stuff about Demi Lovato's done. Now on to other fat logic. From Blink Day. If diets worked, there would be one diet, and everyone would do it once. Semipa. If showers worked, there would be one shower, and everyone would do it once. Showers don't work. SD Jellybean. That's why I don't brush my teeth. From Kombucha Enema. That really sounds painful. A guy I was hooking up with told me I was getting chubby and should eat less. I just ate an entire Ford Prefect pizza. Ford Prefect you, Brian. Sumperon. That'll show Brian that she has a healthy relationship with food. That last one comes across as kind of mean, because the guy was being a jerk. But that doesn't mean the way she reacted to him being a jerk was positive. Sorry about editorializing. From Elphaba. What do we learn from hippopotamuses? That it's impossible to reduce weight by eating green grass and salads and walking. Why are they always choosing elephants and other animals that aren't obese for these examples? Listless replies, hippos have a healthy and mostly herbivorous appetite. Adults eat about 80 pounds of grass each night, traveling up to 6 miles in a night to get their fill. Ironically, despite their bulky and heavy appearance, hippos' subcutaneous fat layers are quite thin. A 2,000-kilogram giant, holy moly, is mostly made out of muscles and a 6-centimeter thick skin. Yikes. Those things are like tanks. When you weigh almost 2,000 pounds and have a top running speed of 30 miles an hour, your bones and muscles have to be incredibly strong. From Nuding Intensifies, a recovering fat activist. MPs urge doctors to ban the shaming term BMI or body mass index amid fears it can harm patients' self-image. Doctors should stop using body mass index as a measure of health, MPs say. The MPs instead want medics to adopt a health at every size approach. Committee also suggested dangerous obesity strategy may make things worse. A little side note from people not from the United Kingdom. MP here does not mean military police. It has something to do with people in the government, although I do not understand their government at all.
In the United States, what we learn is British people love to wear red, and that's the...
May replied, BMI can harm patients' self-image. Diabetes can harm patients. I feel like that's a bit more of a problem. Thaumaturge. Who needs a foot when you can have delusions? From Ms. Beaver. Guess what? You do not have pre-diabetes. Pre-diabetes is not a diagnosis. People who are given the label pre-diabetic, who do end up developing type 2 diabetes, did not do pre-diabetes wrong. There are many factors, mostly genetic, that contribute to an actual diagnosis of diabetes. Additionally, restrictive eating, also known as dieting, also known as cutting carbs, also known as the thing medical professionals suggest when they diagnose with pre-diabetes, often leads to binging on sugary foods, which can also exacerbate the potential to develop type 2 diabetes. OCR Amazon replied, after saying not to diet, they admit that binging on sugary foods makes you far more likely to get diabetes. Jeez Louise! You might think I censored that, but OCR Amazon actually did write Jeez Louise. In It to Flip It brings us. Lizzo says that the body positivity movement has been co-opted by all bodies. We need to protect and uplift the bodies it was created for and by. Cries in planes, trains. She is unfortunately right. The Unilever Dove soap co-opted the body positivity movement. That was a movement of fat, how to say without saying it, lovers, and fat women in order to sell soap by using the proverbial amputee and burn victims. From Quinny. You think fat is unhealthy? I'm happy to show you the science to prove you're wrong, but that's not the problem, is it? It's not about health, it's about thin. It's about the beauty ideal of the white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. Reject the dominant paradigm. #war on weight stigma. Baby Goat replied, I'm happy to show you the science to prove you're wrong, but there isn't any.
Kaboom!
From Breezy Wheezy. I refuse to allow them to weigh my babies. There are plenty of good ways to be certain of health, and starting life by being judged on their weight seemed wrong. I'm not sure why I bothered. OCR Amazon. They need to make sure the baby is gaining weight. Genius. How are these women always super fertile, while other women have to go through Chipotle to get pregnant? Ava Bad brings us. Trigger warning, Virgie Tovar. Medical science only ever engages with data point number 1, but data point 2 is arguably far more relevant. Data point 1. Most thin people live longer and healthier lives than higher weight people. Data point 2. There's no way to know how many of these health disparities are caused by stigma. Prescribing weight loss has proven correlations with anxiety, depression, and an increased likelihood of developing an eating disorder, and no longitudinal correlation with either weight loss or increased mental or physical health. Grotry replied, There's no way to know how many of these disparities are caused by stigma. Only if you're not trying to look very hard, because it's not that hard to figure it out. You could just look at healthy weight people who experience actual oppression and stigma and see their rates of disease and compare. For example, if the comparatively non-existent troubles that fat people experience in Western society result in such a rate of metabolic disorders, then normal weight survivors of something I can't say on YouTube, or other such crimes against humanity, should have stupidly astronomical rates of metabolic disorders. Is that what we observe in reality? No? There you go. It's not caused by stigma or oppression or any such thing. Another one from Ava Bad. Someone posts a picture with a bunch of women in it from different countries. Happy International Women's Day! And someone replies, I love how this is inclusive, and I'm annoyed that it is not inclusive. I was scanning down the line and saw that there were no fat women. It's disappointing, but not a surprise. Celeratus Lucis replied, Because if they did add a fat woman, then it would be why is the black or white or person of color or Latina or Indian the fat one and not anyone else? From Footwaffle. Posted originally. Fat is not automatically unhealthy, something to be afraid of. I, a female, am 5'5", 301 pounds as of yesterday, and after visiting my primary care doctor to discuss my lab results, he simply said, If your labs were a test, you would have gotten an A. You passed completely. My boyfriend, a nurse, was with me and went over everything with me one-on-one, confirming what the doctor had said. So here I am finally being told, basically, that I'm healthy, despite always being told otherwise, not from any professional, but whoever felt they had the right. Of course, health is more complex than basic lab results, but overall I am balanced and within healthy bounds. I do have an appointment for sleep apnea later this week, since I found out my biomom had sleep apnea that caused her to gain weight, be unable to lose it, so that could also be part of why I am fat. Luckily, I'll either get a CPAP machine so I can breathe easier and sleep better, or I just stay as I am with my SO, who likes my rolls. Smiley heart face. All in all, happy ending, I say. Mr. Rusty Pup replied, I go absolutely Taco Bell when they say, I'm completely healthy. I have an appointment with a specialist for this awful condition that primarily affects fat people and people with lung heart issues. Like, you can't follow up I'm totally healthy with, but here's a condition I have that required medical intervention to fix. That's not how it works. Boring name with number brings us. The following is a conversation between two people online. Honestly, you need to not fight your body. Understand the BMI is a meaningless measure. Frankly, I think you look much better now than you did before, so don't just fight your body and embrace the new you. Asker replied, Yeah, no offense, but that sounds like terrible advice. Lol. Yeah, no offense, but you're not half as smart as you think you are. I've spent years working with statistical data on BMI and dieting as well. Statistically, 99% of diets fail, And the BMI is a load of horseradish. Asker: I mostly meant that frankly I think you look much better now than you did before, so just don't fight your body and embrace the new you part. It isn't about looks, it's about health, and looks, but mostly health. It's about both. The whole it's about health thing is a cover, and you cannot separate the two anyway, because they are interrelated. Self-image is a part of health, and so much of what we are told is health is really about image. Asker: I'm pretty sure no amount of body positivity can overcome a heart attack. You are simple-minded and have no idea what you're talking about. Where did you even get that heart attack notion from? Huh? That comes from the establishment, which is biased against weight in the first place. Everything you are assuming is burritos and lies. You need to look deeper and understand the forces at play, which you clearly do not. Asker: Yes, I too believe that the earth is flat and the Martian lizard people are making the frogs gay. I hope we could come to an agreement. What the frozen yogurt? You are deranged, you know that? You just swallow whatever the establishment tells you. Man, you are a stupid feather. Expat replied: The establishment. What interest would any establishment have in stopping you from dying prematurely? Seriously. Semipa: I'm quite sick of patriarchal, white, lean, straight men doing their cheesy potatoist to help me get healthy and stay disease-free. It's really whipped creaming me off. This conspiracy has gone on long enough and has to stop. I have a right to disease, immobility, and possibly early death without being reminded of it every once in a while. Glorificus brings us: which means obesity isn't a disease, it's a defense mechanism against running out of food. A bit like having 3 fridges is a defense mechanism against running out of food, except the calories are stored externally in the fridge rather than internally in your body. Time and research and evidence has proven people don't get fat because they overeat. People get fat because they run out of food, which is the trigger for their overeating. Goosebumper: It's just like the perfectly normal and reasonable 3 fridges that we all have. Monkey Shine brings us: Well, it finally happened. My 5-year-old last night said of her dinner, I better stop eating, I don't want to get fat. Deep breath. No, honey, that's not how it works. Your tummy knows how much food your body needs and tells you when you're full. What's it telling you now? She reaches for another carrot and crunches away, grinning. Deep fry you, diet culture. Truffles the mushroom replied: Ooh, too perfect. A precocious 5-year-old expressing adult concerns. A thoughtful parent dispensing timeless wisdom, and the heartwarming surprise ending where a child reaches for a carrot and not an egg roll. Bless their little hearts. From Milk. The phrase, fat people are at a higher risk for, should always be followed by, of course that could very likely be because of social stigma, weight cycling, or weight stigma in medical care. Xian replied, Oh, okay, let me try. Fat people are at a higher risk of injury from even relatively safe falls. Of course, that could very likely be due to the weight stigma caused by the oppressive forces of gravity. Ah, shucks. Guess I let the truth in again. Sad face. OCR Amazon added, Isaac Newton invented gravity just to be a fat-phobic space lord. From Ordinary Appearance. New concept, letting fat people be fat. New concept, writing things like she was fat and beautiful, her face like a moon wreathed in smiles, or she was big and gorgeous and soft, or she was wonderfully fat. Make it a beautiful word. Put it with all the other happy, positive words you'd like to use to describe a character. Reclaim the word. Yes. Bread Thanos, bread is inevitable, replied. My dad is fat and beautiful, but also has type 2 diabetes and suffered from a heart attack right in front of me. While I had to call an ambulance and waiting for it to arrive, as my dad was starting to lose consciousness before my eyes. After his whole life of being obese, fat, he's now working very hard and starting to get close to being a normal weight for the first time in his life. Did I do this right? From Elmir 2000. This eating less equals thin idea in the dieting community bothers the heck out of me. I used to buy into the idea that dieters spread that thin people are thin because they naturally eat less, which I'm sure is absolutely true in some cases. Maybe for some thin people, their appetite is lower as a result of having a lower set point. But before my eating disorder, I was naturally slim and ate probably double what people on diet subs tend to eat. I did not naturally eat less. My snacks were bagels, large mugs of hot chocolate, and cookies, and my dinner was often a bucket of fried chicken. Side note, I'm guessing you were a teenager then and could eat whatever you want with no consequences, and you probably also got 2 to 3 hours of exercise a day. But let's ignore all that. That couldn't be involved. I didn't even realize how untrue it was until I began to recover, and my mind was in a clear enough state to remember how I actually used to eat. Anyway, even if it was true, why in the world would that mean that people in larger bodies would have to mimic the eating of people in smaller bodies? We have different appetites for a reason. It's utterly bizarre to me. Thorlin Castor replied, "One of the main FA talking points is that fat people don't eat more than skinny people. Thanks for debunking that for me." Unfortunately, none of the commenters on that, not naming it sub, seem to get it, even though most agree that fat equals higher appetite. It cannot be the cause. Correlation does not equal causation. Joe Mama brings us, "Thin privilege. This does not mean no one has ever made fun of your appearance. Your body type is seen as normal and healthy. You are able to walk into any clothing store and expect to see several options in your size. No one tells you to lose weight when they see you eat. You don't encounter fat phobia." Colorful Snowflake, "Vegetables are yummy," replied, "As a petite woman, I accept that I can't walk into any clothing store and find several options in my size. When I wore a size 4, I found a few options in most stores. Now, as a size 0, the stores that cater to me are limited. I understand that's because there are very few women who wear a size 0. Joe Mama added, "Oh, but you're skinny, so your struggle doesn't count." From Beyond Che, "Did you know that dieting actually slows our metabolism down? It's true. Dieting teaches our body to slow metabolism and utilize each calorie more efficiently, meaning we need less calories to maintain our weight. Diets also teach our body to break down muscle tissue, which is metabolically active, further slowing down our metabolism." Bicep shot. In fact, a 2016 study done on Biggest Loser contestants showed that 6 years after the show, contestants' metabolisms had slowed by 700 calories per day. Not only that, but their muscle mass dropped 10 pounds below baseline. Something I won't regret replies to this. That study they're referring to was Gina Colada's enumerate interpretation of the Biggest Loser study. About that, my take on the study after actually reading it, and not just the abstract or the reprehensible Gina Colada New York Times propaganda piece. Apparently, I have 600 calories worth of metabolic damage despite never being overweight. They link several places where you can read more about it. Evelyn at Carbsane has a Twitter conversation with Kevin Hall in which he admits their metabolic rates were not compared against the general population expected metabolic rates at their endpoint weights. So to put it more simply, the study saying that Biggest Loser contestants had metabolic damage is a huge bologna sandwich. From Ike Mato, "What a time to be alive. The face. We're told we can't trust our body, that somehow hunger is something to suppress or deny. Imagine if we did this with peeing. It's a recipe for a UTI. Sad and embarrassed. Dieting disconnects us from the cues of our body. Intuitive eating helps us get back in touch with them. Smiles and hearts. My small group coaching program will walk you through the intuitive eating framework step by step, blah, blah, blah." Surprise! They're selling something. Read, replied. What's messed up is that more than once I've seen FAs insist that intuitive eating isn't about stopping when you're full, only eating when you're hungry, so like, what the feet cues are they referring to? Because I think your body gaining hundreds of pounds of extra weight is a pretty big burrito cue. A bright light flashing, siren blaring, theater director yelling from offstage that it's your turn to go on type of cue. From Lovely Lacerations. Eating disorders are fatphobic and sexist. It doesn't mean that people are mean and awful for having eating disorders, or that all people have to do to stop suffering from them is try. But clearly defining the roots of the problem is the only way we're going to fix it. Bob the Orange Cat. Men with eating disorders are already basically told that their experiences aren't real and their struggles are worthless. Great way to reinforce that. From Sentient Wheatgrass. I try to remember that weight gain is my body's way of trying to keep me safe and protected. Our bodies see weight loss as a danger. Think about what that meant thousands of years ago, not enough food around, illness, etc. And we'll do anything it can to try to keep things stable. If you're gaining weight, it's trying to hoard fuel for the future after a period of famine. It's worried that there might not be enough food again someday. I look at it with gratitude that it's trying to take care of me. Turner-esque. Somehow, I don't think McDonald's being closed on Christmas is the same sort of famine as not being able to find wild game on the prairie for a week 2,000 years ago. From Equisarent. If weight loss before and after pictures told the truth, they would be called before and in the middle, etc., etc., etc. More stuff about how diets don't work, etc. Yadira MacLeod replied to all that. This demotivating, demoralizing bagel sandwich is just so toxic. I can't stand it. I quit smoking cigarettes and was well aware of the stats about how they're technically more addictive, harder to quit than, heron watching. I can't say the real word. Although I would argue that's largely due to the general availability and less social stigma as well, and how few people are actually successful and how they often relapse, but generally the people in my life were all supportive and no one was ever there telling me, you know, even if you do quit, statistically speaking, you'll just pick up the habit again. Not even other smokers in my life would say snickers like that to me. Everyone was like, good for you, fork cigarettes, because we all know how bad they are. And none of us want to see each other with tracheotomies or lung meshes or open heart surgeries. Like JFC, these hole punchers telling people essentially not to care about their health or size because you'll just gain it back makes me want to, I can't even say what it makes me want to do, lol. From Lee Ludazabat. I saw an article about if you ask for a smaller piece of cake, you are fatphobic and hurting your fat friends, making them feel bad. What if I just don't like cake? What if I'm already full? I actually hate sweets. I'm more of a salty pretzel. I don't want cake. That doesn't make me fatphobic. Laura Blooms, according to that video, which you can find here on YouTube by the way. It's by Virgie Tovar. You either take and eat the cake that's served, or don't get in line. Do not ask for a smaller piece. Do not save some cake for later. Do not say anything at all, but especially about how rich the cake is. The last 30 seconds of that video is them mocking people who claim they can't eat more because something is rich. Snacks Break added, I bet they would not be okay with someone not getting in line for cake. Just a hunch. Kangarooby Tuesday. Not getting in line is portrayed as being pretzely and superior by choosing not to have cake. It's wild to watch the mental gymnastics they go through to always be the victim. Love Dove Bunny asks the important and eternal question, Tenderflake? Sorry about the blurry screen. Content warning, intentional weight loss people are at it again, Tenderflake. Wow, I just saw someone I know post a picture on Facebook talking about her intentional weight loss journey, and she posted a picture of herself holding a platter of Tenderflake boxes, lard, saying that that was the equivalent of all the weight she no longer carries around. I guess it's not appropriate to recommend she add a few boxes to the pile and take a pic representing all the weight she's likely to gain back in a few years. Ha 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 ha. OMG, that's so offensive. Have you considered saying something? It's extremely dehumanizing to anyone who's large and even to herself. I kind of want to, but I don't want to start a whole thing. I don't know what I would say. I don't even know where to start with people like this. The fat phobia is so extreme. And saying something only opens a large can of worms. Sorry for my ignorance, but why is this bad? Is it specifically because it's lard or just in general? Intentional weight loss is unsustainable and unattainable for 95% of people who try it. Celebrating intentional weight loss is ableist, moralistic, fatphobic, and a form of virtue signaling. It implies that being fat is a bad thing and being thin is a good thing. Furthermore, visually representing fat with literal fat from a pig is dehumanizing to anyone who's discriminated against due to being fat. Love Dove Bunny adds more. I'm disgusted at the people in this group sometimes because they always say stuff like weight regain will always happen and tell the poster that the post is offensive. Whatever happened to letting women decide how to present themselves? If someone wants to lose weight, then don't criticize or act all offended. And I personally wanted to add, would they have been less offended if instead of using lard, which is from pigs, they'd used fat from liposuction, to represent how much fat they were planning on losing. From Urban Turban for the win. Hi all, I've been on my intuitive eating journey for about a year. Being cut off from my friends and family for the past year has really helped me focus on my intuitive eating journey. I'm really grateful for this time, even though the pandemic has been hard in other ways. This year I've read Intuitive Eating and have used their workbook, and have also read parts of Anti-Diet by Christy Harrison. My friends and I are almost all vaccinated, so we're starting to be able to venture out into the world more safely. This last weekend, I got dinner outside with 2 sets of girlfriends, and I was distressed to see how 2 of them lost tons of weight during the pandemic, and were displaying some very bad DE eating disorder type behaviors, chewing gum to stop eating, dipping fork in salad dressing instead of having dressing on the salad, talking about restricting. One mentioned that she was afraid to eat one of her daughter's graham crackers, and that she can't have ice cream when her daughter gets it. This is really the first time I've had to face DE eating disorder type behavior in person since I've been on my intuitive eating journey. During dinner, I found myself becoming hyper-focused on their behaviors, to the point where it was hard to just enjoy myself. I felt lonely. I am wondering, does anyone have any strategies for just how to enjoy yourself when around friends who are displaying obvious diety behaviors? I love my friends and want to be compassionate. I also don't want to confront anyone, and I'm not ready to share my own intuitive eating experience. And I also want to stay strong in my journey. I'm proud to say I ordered what I wanted and honored my fullness both times. Any suggestions would be most appreciated. Bob the Orange Cat. Quit worrying about policing everything everyone else is doing and mind your own business. From Manson. Like, most human bodies have adapted in such a way that it's easy to gain fat and muscle and harder to lose them, especially fat. It's easy to gain fat because your body needs it, and we live in a calorie-rich time. Fat doesn't equal bad, and I'm so tired of our entire society acting like it does. I Hate Melvin too replied, fat doesn't equal bad. Excess fat equals higher risks for bad health outcomes. All the misinformation out there made me believe I couldn't lose weight. I really believe that. It took months of reading FatLogic regularly to convince me. It really was like I had to be deprogrammed. Thanks again for being here, guys. First-time user brings us. I disagree with her. It's important for everyone. I was fat-shamed by my doctor yesterday and called obese when I'm not even a little bit overweight. Fat phobia is faced by everyone. BMI is not the end-all and be-all, and doctors need to stop pretending that it is. You can have an obese BMI and be healthy. Montai has replied, it depends. There are plenty of professional athletes who are considered obese on the BMI scale, but are in incredible shape. Look at Derrick Henry, the running back in the Tennessee Titans. He is 6'3" and 247 pounds, which gives him a BMI of 31. So he is obese according to the CDC, but he doesn't fit any other definition for the term obese. There are plenty of non-lineman NFL players who fall into that category. They are obese, but are perfectly healthy. I Hate Melvin too adds, Doctor to Derrick Henry, you're obese by BMI, but you need this weight to do your job and you're in excellent health otherwise, for now. Once you're done with football, you'll want to lose the weight. You'll need to eat a lot less because you'll be burning a lot less calories. It may be hard to adjust to that new activity and calorie level, so call us if you need any suggestions. Doctor to Average Person, you're obese, it's not good for your heart, joints. Average Person, but Derrick Henry's obese. Doctor, so? From Love Dove Bunny. Hey fam, does anyone have resources on childhood obesity and how it's burritos? I had a friend who is new to HAES ask me the following. I had a friend stump me today. I was explaining to the best of my abilities about HAES, and they were totally respectful, but also genuinely curious about childhood obesity, and they queried if it's different because it's done to them. A big facepalm to start, because of the clear fallacy here. But does anyone know of any good resources I could send to my friend to combat this narrative? Thanks so much for your time. Love Dove Bunny replies, please don't bring children into HAES. From 7. It's humorous the amount of thin folks who come back with a, sometimes the plus size section is better though when arguing about size inclusiveness. Like, you're mad that the 5 plus size exclusive stores don't sell clothes smaller than 12, but you're completely unfazed about the thousands of stores that don't sell above a size 12. And don't even get me started on store's new plus-size lines that only go up to an 18 or 20. Rolling eyes. Yadira MacLeod. Question for the person who wrote the OP. How did these thin folks know the plus-size section is sometimes nicer in the first place? Could it be possibly that they weren't always thin? From Elmir 2000. A person lists 6 different FatLogic talking points. I'm only going to go through the first one to not make this too repetitive. 1. Starvation mode. Metabolic adaptation to reduction in calories is real. Fist Fantastic replies, the worst kind of lie is a half-truth because it's incredibly easy to believe, but incredibly difficult to take the time and energy to debunk it. Fortunately, I have both. Starvation mode is widely regarded as apocryphal because of how it's bandied about by FAs and HAES. However, starvation mode actually amounts to 5.8 calories per day for each pound lost, or 12.8 calories per kilogram. That is to say, you burn less calories when you're smaller. From Ava Bad. Trigger warning, Virgie Tovar. No one fat or thin will live forever. Lyra Silvertongue replied, there are basically 2 kinds of people. You're either Ernestine Shepherd, and let's take a second to look at Ernestine Shepherd. She's an American bodybuilder who is best known for being at one point the oldest competitive female bodybuilder in the world, as declared by the Guinness Book of World Records in 2010. As of 2020, she is 84 years old and still active, albeit no longer competitive, in bodybuilding. Anyway, you're either Ernestine Shepherd or you're like my patients, trapped in a wheelchair by obesity, on oxygen, and having someone else wipe your butt because you can no longer walk, breathe, or even reach your butt. Living a decade or 2 like this, because heart disease is a slow and painful death, being ignored by your family, eating bland hospital food, and wishing you had done something different while you tossed back 13 pills a day, and wonder when the last time was you felt the sun. Your diet and activity level impacts this. Which would you rather be? From Da Pink. Forget that hole punch. Clothes are cut and made differently. I can buy 3 shirts the same size. 1 fits great, 1 snug, and 1 gives me chest compressions. People like that other one is why people like you have a complex. Don't stress. If you don't like how they fit, get the next size up. Sizing is different. Women tend to be more sensitive to those little irregularities in clothes. Guys get something and it didn't fit. Oh well, give me the next size bigger. Be comfortable with yourself. I used to wear a size X and was healthy as a horse. Now I'm a 3X and even healthier. Doctors are amazed. Da Pink replied to what she brought to us. But wait, she's already so healthy at 6X. How can she be even healthier? It doesn't make sense. Does that mean that she would have superhuman health if she was at normal weight? From Love Dove Bunny. Content warning, fat person unsure how to lower cholesterol in a fat-positive way. I hope this kind of post is okay. I'm mid-fat and very new to loving my body and working through the internalized fat phobia. I went to a primary care doctor for the first time in years, all ready to tell the doctor about how my BMI doesn't equal health. But the lipid panel showed that my cholesterol is high, my liver is fatty, etc. My doctor doesn't seem to be fat-shaming. She doesn't want me to chase pounds, but to aim for lower lipid numbers. And I don't know how to do this without perpetuating my own fat phobia. Any help? Xion replied, Whoa there! I thought all fat people have perfect blood work, trademark. Seriously though, I hope this person manages to turn her health around. She might have been showing the zeal of a new convert, but it seems that those cholesterol results have at least impressed on her that she must change something. From AM. It doesn't matter what her intentions to the weight loss were. It doesn't matter if she's happy or not. It doesn't matter if she worked hard. The viewer sees 2 pics, one before, therefore bad, and one after, therefore good. This has nothing to do with her. It's about the theme of the weight loss social problem. One is like promoting hurting yourself is cool, and like the no pain, no gain mentality in sports, where it is cool and honorable to keep on playing on a broken leg. The reason you don't understand is because you are not trying. Huckster replied, Athletes prove BMI is incorrect, but also their mentality is toxic. Can FAs get on the same page about athletes? From Holando at Milk. Yes, this. I'm getting annoyed with the calorie balance theory. I'm sure there's a percentage of people where this works, but large scale, it's been disproven since World War II. But food companies, Coke and Pepsi, saw that research, buried it, and started a not-for-profit consortium proclaiming the energy balance theory, when in reality obesity is a hormone issue. We don't look at a basketball player who is 7 feet tall and say, wow, that guy had a lot of calories. We say it's a growth hormone issues. It's the same idea as growing wider. It's not really calories, it's feeding your growth hormones highly refined carbs that activates fat storage. I'm not a scientist. Oh, you could have shocked me. Just a well-read nobody. I'm skeptical about that part. But still, just a little subsurface research can tell you so much. Grotry posted a picture of Ralph Wiggum on a computer going to YouTube. The text says, I'm a researcher. Brought to us by Girl from the Villa. I truly believe at its core that body positivity was created to liberate and free all bodies from societal oppression and size discrimination. D'Alessandro tells Nylon, you're sharing a selfie. If you exist in a privileged body, it's not liberating to someone who doesn't. Bacon Fluffy. Every body is privileged in some way over another body. By this logic, nobody in the FA movement should be allowed to post selfies, since there are more disadvantaged people out there. For example, people who don't own phones. From Dieters are science deniers. As is common with science, things change, new studies come to light. Science could be past its expiration date. The Minnesota starvation experiment that took place in the 1940s, and all the science since then, with the exception of science paid for the $70 billion a year diet industry, clearly demonstrates the harm to the human body and psyche from dietary restrictions, and yet the fat-phobic world continued to maintain that fat is unhealthy and bad, and that dieting is the answer. Hungry Zealot replied, as is common with science, things change, new studies come to light. Here's an 80-year-old study that proves I'm right. What? Captain Trips adds, I think this is a tenet of fat activism. If they had a 10 Commandments, one of them would be, thou shalt misrepresent the Minnesota starvation experiment. This experiment deprived men who were doing hard physical labor and needed over 3,000 calories daily to about half that. Furthermore, their diets were completely deficient in protein. If this is your definition of a diet, of course you will suffer. Captain Cork brings us a piece of absurdity. Oh, the point is, shut the door up about being fat. I've had skinny dads on the treadmill next to me in the gym, wondering how this lumpy lava lamp is doing more miles quicker than them. Then he jumps off the treadmill and goes and does weights while they go for a shower in a sauna. And as they towel their heads as they're leaving, they see that same guy on the rowing machine doing 10K. Then he does some more weights. Then he does 5 to 10K on the exercise bike to cool down. I've had people call me a beast in a gym setting, because a man like me, my shape, my size, should not be able to go as I do. And yet I folding chair go. MP by the Sea replied, the only time I ever wonder about the person on the treadmill next to me is why did they choose the treadmill next to me? Is the gym filling up with people at this time of day? The Pickle Juice added, am I expected to say hi? What if I fart? Is my sweat splashing onto them? Should I move? Are they attracted to me? If I move, is it rude? Help! I just wanted to work out. From Neelim Wise. That moment when babies are naturally born at different weights and it's completely normal to have babies that weigh 5 to 10 pounds at birth and be completely healthy. Thin is the default, huh? Yes, we all know healthy babies come out skinny. Sure, that's our default, Thin is not a default. I know people that are born chubby. Never before have I replied. Kind of concerning that the default for some people is a being that came into the world after 9 months of absolutely no physical activity, which does not even have the ability to hold their own heads up. Is that what these people aspire to be? Pensive Chatter asks, what is your take on weight cycling that follows dieting? Is it real? Do people in general actually weigh more than if they had never gone on a diet? Or are people just gaining weight and eventually getting heavier? Is there something about fad diets that makes people gain weight faster when they break? If so, what do you think is the cause? Grotry replied rather thoroughly. Okay, a few major points of note. First, supposed health effects of weight cycling. Most studies on the effects of weight cycling are terribly designed. For example, they don't adjust for starting BMI. If you don't, you've figured out that fat people are less healthy overall. Congratulations. Or intentionality of weight loss. If you don't, you lump in unintentional weight loss into the group, and guess what? That's often a sign of underlying disease. So you've figured out that sick people are less healthy. Congratulations. Or diet quality. If you do take these into account, he finds a study that says, although weight regain following successful weight loss remains one of the most challenging aspects of body weight regulation, evidence for an adverse effect of weight cycling appears sparse, if it exists at all. From Light Up Cosplays. Doctor here, he's replying to a post we can't see. Fat phobia is not the reason why these patients were misdiagnosed. It's because in a vast majority of cases, these vague complaints are due to carrying excessive weight on a much smaller frame. Obesity can cause trouble breathing, giving your accessory breathing muscles extra work to expand the chest. Obesity hyperventilation syndrome. Or you develop sleep apnea. Headaches are also a common complaint. That does not necessitate an MRI in the overwhelming majority of cases in young people. Do you know how many negative MRIs I've read for headache? Unless there's a malignant feature of the headache, that's an unnecessary $4,000 test. Endometriosis is a very difficult diagnosis to make with or without excess weight, and exploratory surgery on someone who is at a high risk to develop complications post-op because of obesity is not what most surgeons want to do. I don't excuse all doctors from doing appropriate workup and to formulate a good differential, but this is an example of the internet showing a tiny misconstrued snapshot and saying we're all fat-phobic. I lost 50 pounds and understand the struggle, but also understand the benefits, shaking my head. From Fantastic Class. He posts a snippet from Up to Date, a medical reference. Cancer. Excess weight is associated with an increased risk of multiple cancer types. Overweight and obesity were estimated to cause 40% of all cancers in the United States. Yikes. New Name replied, oh, but FAs are going to cling to that may word and mechanisms contributing and claim it's just a medical fat phobia, speaking as those aren't 100% certain yet. The Ninjana Medley brings us, lol, 2,000 calories is the nutritional requirement for a toddler. When I found that out, I got so irate. And then there are the app calculators. I never had one say that I could eat below 1,500. Like, what? I really don't understand how we allow MyFitnessPal or Noom to be acceptable. Big Huge Mofo replied, yeah, and puppy food is more calorie-dense than dog food. Duh. Northern Sparrow adds, fun fact, 6-month-old foals eat more calories per day than a full-grown horse. 16,500 calories per day for the foal, 15,000 for a typical adult horse. It's almost like growth burns a ton of extra calories. From Ava Bad. Trigger warning, weight loss in pets. I have pet rats and my vet has advised that one of them could do with losing weight to avoid certain health problems. She went on to name the potential problems. It really triggered me as I couldn't help but think, if my rat has to go on a diet for health, then surely I should. Sad face. Has anyone else experienced this? Yeah, learning the truth versus just happy lies. So distressing. From Darkita. This is a strange answer, but intuitive eating made me quit trying to feed my cats only the amount of food recommended on the package. They used to go hungry all the time, and now they're relaxed and happy. Go figure. Bugabee replied, my cats lie to me all the time. Every day it's, Mother, we have not been fed in our entire lives. We are dying of starvation. You must leave the whole container open for our survival. I fed them 2 minutes ago. And now, DeChonkers. From Rat King. She posts a picture of an orange cat with a white belly. I'm officially dechonked. Was told Ernie would be appreciated here. From K. Jackson. The first picture is a picture of an all-orange cat, and the second picture is a picture of a black cat with a white face and boots. Help with 5 cats, 2 of which are total chonkers. They steal each other's food, and I can't get them to stop overeating. From Kabatsta. It's an orange cat with stripes, and the first picture is little chonkers, and the second picture a little bit lighter. From 18 pounds to 14, Taco is officially chonked. So I guess he's Taco Cat. From Kitty Ice Moon. It's a black cat with a white belly. 18.6 pounds to 14.6 pounds. Only a couple more pounds to go. From a rock named Block. I think it's a calico. He's just hanging around in his home, both pictures. Need help dechunking my Althea. From the Spoodler. It's an orange stripy cat. On the first picture he's laying down on some kind of cat toy. In the second picture he's standing on a toilet. Kudos are in order for my best friend Bubba. I hope this will keep you with me for a few more years. Proud of you, dude. From Green Age Mutant Ninja. It's a black cat with a little white spot on its chest. In the first picture he's a little bit overweight. In the second picture he looks healthy. This sub has been a big inspiration for sushi. We're down 1.7 pounds so far from October. Sushi, another edible cat, just like Taco. From Kelokos. It's a gray cat. You might think I cropped this rather badly, but this is as good as I remember it being on Reddit. Slow progress, but we are 7 ounces down. From Dakarare Suka. It's an orange cat with a white belly. In the first picture he's laying on his back. In the second picture he's got little blue tears drawn on his face. Before, during, and a progress pic. Just a little more potato pancake. From Shirio Kabocha. It's an overhead picture of a dog. He's brown with a little white spot on the top of his head. In the first picture he's a little bit chunky. In the second picture he looks a lot thinner. Shay has lost 9 pounds and reached his goal weight. From Young Money Mervin. It's a picture of a pit bull. I only know that because I found this in the pit bull subreddit. In the first picture he's very big looking. In the second picture he's a lot smaller. Still can't get over how strong my boy is. In 11 months he has had his leg amputated. Aw, poor little guy. He went through 5 rounds of chemo and is still cancer free. Oh, and did I mention he's down 22 pounds? Alright, video's over. If you liked what you heard, then please click like and subscribe. If you're feeling super generous, consider becoming a member. It comes with perks like getting the videos early. Even if you don't, I appreciate you for coming to watch my videos. Have a shoe pastry good day.